Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Last year, we said farewell to the Tandy Computer Whiz Kids. That may have been a bit premature. Honestly, I probably should have saved this for, the 20th anniversary year of Atop the Fourth Wall. But no, let's clear the palate of the children of the damned here. For reasons known only to Superman writer Cary Bates, a decision was made to include Alec and Shanna, the TRS-80 Computer Whiz Kids, in a legit, actual, not a one-shot PSA that's actually promoting Tandy products issue of Superman. I cannot fathom why they decided to do this. Hell, it's not even like it was paying homage to them after 10 years of their existence or anything. They had only appeared in 2 issues by this point. Hell, maybe even only 1, because Victory by Computer came out in 1981, same year as this issue, but doesn't have a month on it to identify whether it came out before or after it. This could be at a point where the 2 still had their souls. You know, before those got harvested by Radio Shack and left them mindless automatons to spread the gospel of Tandy. I wonder if it's even possible for this comic to be reprinted without heavily altering the 2 in the artwork. Or if anyone would even care about suing over this kind of thing. I did check ahead to see if there was any legal disclaimer that the characters were owned by Tandy and Radio Shack, and nope! Kinda makes me wonder if they bought the characters from DC outright. Which would be really weird if only because there's no need. It's not like they'd be buying Jimmy Olsen or something. It's 2 disposable kid characters you could replace with different haircuts and names. Then again, given the lack of creativity for most of the Tandy Computer Whiz Kids comics, maybe they needed to buy them outright. Let's dig into Superman number 358 and see just how the Whiz Kids are incorporated into a proper superhero comic.
Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. Brodsky, you're not the smartest. Life out, you're not an artist. Anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could be your turn. Linkara, he's a man punch, wears a birdie hat. Linkara, he has a magic gun. Where'd he purchase that? Linkara, coins, robots, Amazon and trucks. Linkara, this comic sucks. Linkara.
The cover's not terrible, but it's not hugely exciting either. Superman is being blasted by the jolly green orange-faced dude. What's weird is that the artist decided to only have the blast come out of, the tip of his index finger. But not in a, I'm pointing at you and sending deadly rays out or anything, but it almost seems like a casual accident. Like it didn't even occur to him that he had done it. Watch out! If the Man of Steel fails today, Earth won't be here tomorrow! On the plus side, we can sleep in. And thus we learn the identity of this guy who kinda looks like a dandelion. This will teach you not to fool around with Father Nature! Oh, he's just mad because he lost the car in the divorce. There's also a backup story. Extra! Just imagine a day in the life of Bruce Superman Wayne. Superman! His parents are dead! We open with Superman flying around during a rainstorm. And a lightning bolt zapping right through him. Oh my god, Superman's a ghost! A very familiar teacher is informing us of what's going to happen. Boys and girls, I'm delighted to announce a very distinguished special guest will be coming through our door any moment now. I love how it's this early on, but they've still got the Whiz Kids formula down. He is an old friend of mine from Smallville, but I'm sure you'll all recognize his famous face at a glance. Batman! Who may also be Superman. And holy crap, we're diving deep into Tandy Computer Whiz Kids lore here. Miss Wilson grew up with Clark Kent in Smallville? The kids all presume it's going to be Superman, but nope, it's actually just Clark Kent, to their disappointment. My students don't mean to be rude, Clark. It's just that Superman paid the class a surprise visit several months ago. And now I realize I unwittingly misled them into expecting Superman again instead of you. The important thing for them to realize is that it's a very low chance they'll see another superhero in here again.
Hope we didn't hurt your feelings, Mr. Kent. My ambition is to be a TV newswoman one day, like Lana Lang. But not you, though. You suck at it.
This was still during that time Galaxy Communications owned the Daily Planet, and Clark Kent got pushed up to TV news, so he's come here with a film strip about the workings of Galaxy Communications. Alec is bored by this, but now I'm beginning to wonder if it's like an Invasion of the Body Snatchers kind of thing, where he's just exhausted from staying awake, and if he falls asleep, he'll be replaced by a pod person. Alec, you're the visual aids expert around here. Would you be kind enough to thread the film into the projector for us? Okay, Miss Wilson. I just hope I can keep my hands steady in all this pulse-pounding excitement. Now, if Mr. Kent had come here to tell us about drugs, that'd be different. Clark is going to provide commentary over the film strip. His version of Mystery Science Theater was not a hit. But then the storm causes the power in the school to go out. Stepping away from her students for a moment, Margaret Wilson consults with her old friend and fellow Smallville High graduate. Oh my God, we got her first name! Have they ever told us her first name before? Am I making something out of nothing? After Miss Wilson wonders if the power's out for more than just the school, Clark uses his X-ray and telescopic vision to check on it, seeing that indeed it's the whole area, but that the workers at the power plant are trying to fix it. Power ought to be restored within a half hour, which means this is not a job for Superman! Superman! It's not a job for him!
Eek! I'm so scared, Miss Wilson. Some of that lightning's coming awful close, and it's so dark.
Hard to believe this is the same girl that would someday take on armed kidnappers, drug dealers, and child traffickers. Since the kids are growing increasingly uneasy by how fierce the storm is, Miss Wilson is concerned. Do you suppose you could find a way to keep them occupied till the lights go back on? I would do it myself as their teacher, but I've got to be honest, I'm already 3 sheets to the wind thanks to my secret flask. Clark volunteers to tell the kids a story about Superman, since the two are such good friends and all. A story about Superman beats seeing a film about the Daily Planet any day. No offense, Mr. Kent. I'm just saying, print media is probably going the way of that film strip you were gonna show us, so... None taken, Alec. Little punk. Next time I come around here, I'll just have Kara entertain this jackass instead. But as glamorous and exciting as a Man of Steel's life might seem to the rest of us, we often tend to forget the tremendous challenges and responsibilities that go hand in hand with being a Superman. For instance, sometimes Superman has to punch Muhammad Ali. He talks about the time Superman was flying through a storm like this across Colorado, specifically over the Rocky Mountains. Mother Nature couldn't have picked a better time and place to let loose with a cloudburst. This whole area has been parched the past few weeks by an intense heat wave. Oh God, now it's hailing on me! Superman had no inkling then how prophetic his passing thought about Mother Nature would turn out to be. Wait, Mr. Kent, how did you know what Superman was thinking? Superman told me. He was that specific? Look, flying is actually kind of boring after a while. It's easier to remember bits like that. Certainly no jobs for Superman here. I love how this Superman comic keeps telling me about things that he should not be doing. Also, if there's no job for Superman out here, why the hell was he there? However, he suddenly notices a lightning bolt hit a group of pine trees and transform them into weird alien trees. Examining them, he confirms that they're composed of something not native to the galaxy. A figure, the Father Nature from the cover, comes down and announces himself as Cron. He's telepathic, so he's able to scan Superman's mind and knows how to speak English and who he is. Superman wants to know why the hell he's screwing with the trees. I have come not to ravage Kryptonian, but to rectify the mistakes of the past, and reshape this planet so that it will have a far more bountiful future in eons to come. For instance, oak trees. First draft material at best, we can do better. Cron altered the chemical composition of the air around Superman to be made of argon and methane, forcing him to push the poisonous cloud into space, lest it affect anyone on Earth. When he returned to Earth, there was no sign of Cron. After an unsuccessful search of the area, Superman returned to Metropolis and the duties of the job he holds when he assumes his secret identity. Someone who is no doubt very rugged and handsome, like a sexy farmer or something. Alec thinks this part has to be completely made up.
Because even though you're supposed to be one of Superman's best friends, nobody knows who he is when he isn't wearing his cape.
Well, mostly when he's not wearing the cape, he veges out on the couch and watches old reruns of Dark Shadows. Instead, Clark just says that he has to be vague with some of his details from there, although it still seems a bit specific, namely that he returned to his civilian job and kept thinking about some strange object that he couldn't get out of his subconscious. It was distracting him so much that his imagination played tricks on him, making him think a potted plant was the same strange tower. He flew to the Fortress of Solitude to investigate. I'm programming the computer with every minute detail of my first and only encounter with Cron.
No doubt a Tandy Computer, right, Mr. Kent?
Actually, it was something IBM-based.
Heretic!
The device he used, the encephaloterminals, allowed the computer to read his mind and try to identify the object. It seems weird that it would somehow know that unless it was something that was already in its databanks, but whatever. The computer thinks it might be an energy source for Cron. In turn, Superman speculates that the telepathy that Cron was using worked both ways, that he was subconsciously reading Cron's mind as Cron read his mind. Now knowing what he should be looking for, he started zipping around the planet in search of it. And based on this panel, making me wonder if he repeatedly reset time in the process, and eventually located it, noting that part of his subconscious image was also spotting an energy field around it. But what I neglected to mention about the mental image Superman received was the unique radiation aura surrounding Cron's power prong.
Now his power prong's radioactive! That can't be good!
Power prong. Eventually, he found it in South America with a tree disguising it. He tries to destroy it, but it has a force field protecting it. However, his attempted attack triggers some kind of automated telepathic beam that sends a message into his brain. Attention, lifeform. Cease your hostile action. The purpose of this Trosum ray is not to inflict harm, but to dispense information. However, you will have to sit through an ad first. The message doesn't seem to be from Crom either. What I am about to reveal may shock your senses, but the facts are unequivocally true. And if you can't trust a telepathic message from a power prong disguised as a tree, what can you trust? The message says that they first arrived on the planet when it was still in its infancy and saw the potential for future life forms. As such, it directed the natural forces to best get to, well, us, all life on the planet. Great Krypton! Even though the narrator never specified, I picked up an overwhelming sensation I was receiving the legacy of a female entity. Her concern for Earth motivated by a maternal instinct. And yet not once did she try to breastfeed us. And indeed, as Cron confirms as he comes down, this is basically, quite literally, Mother Nature. He also reveals that he tricked Superman to find the power prong for him since he couldn't locate it, though he has his own that he concealed in orbit. The collective subconscious of earthly humans has elected to dub her Mother Nature. From the brief research I did, while there are similar concepts across various cultures and mythologies, it's not exactly a stretch to personify the Earth or the natural world in a maternal context, well, with the Earth acting as a provider for the things we need to survive. We didn't really need a collective subconscious explanation. Also, bear in mind that this is a story Clark Kent is recounting to these kids. And so, kids, the truth is that God is an alien who shaped our world to create life upon it. All other religions are a lie. Cron says that her real identity was Neutra. She also invented a substitute for sugar. And that she was his mate, but he has plans for the Earth counter to hers and needs to destroy her power prong. He reveals his true form as some kind of living cloud. Neutra and I never fail to violently disagree on the proper course for life on young, promising planets. And in turn, this is why we go to couples counseling. Superman realizes that Cron's vision for life will kill all the current life on Earth. He still can't do anything to stop him because of the force field, but decides on a different strategy as he flies off. It occurred to me Cron and Neutra were fighting over the Earth the way two parents might squabble over the best method of raising a child. Yeah, but most parental squabbles don't really end with committing genocide. Next instant, Superman bolted away from the scene in a burst of speed, giving the impression of defeat. It's a good thing Cron couldn't read his mind or anything. Soups retrieves something from the Fortress of Solitude, then returns and warns Cron to stop what he's doing. The thing he grabbed was a Rigelian plasmo bomb, which is powerful enough to disintegrate the planet. He threatens Cron to stop his efforts, or he'll push the button and end the world, a merciful death rather than what Cron's terraforming would do. Cron read his mind and agreed to leave, realizing he was telling the truth. As such, he leaves, deciding that an Earth that Neutra made is better than no Earth at all. Cron's parental instincts toward Earth were just as strong as Neutra's maternal feelings. Even though he didn't approve of the way Earth turned out, Father Nature couldn't bear the prospect of his planetary offspring being destroyed. Admittedly, it still made for awkward family gatherings at holidays, but still. Alec points out that Superman's code would never allow him to kill, even as a mercy, but Shanna figures out that all he said was that he intended to push the button, not that the bomb would have actually detonated, a fact that Clark confirms. Superman had already removed the filament that would have caused it to blow, which just makes Cron look like an idiot who couldn't detect that part of the deception.
Well, I knew that all along. I was just testing Shanna to see if she had figured out the answer too. Not bad thinking. For a girl.
Alec would retain a heavy resentment for women that would carry into his adulthood when he renamed himself Sir Hubert. And so our story, and our final look at the Whiz Kids, ends with Miss Wilson pointing out that the power is back on, so Clark can get back to talking about journalism instead of how we are all the products of alien beings trying to manipulate our world for their own ends. And then, of course, there's the backup story, a Just Imagine tale where Kal-El's rocket landed near Gotham City and was found by James Gordon. In turn, the baby was brought to Thomas and Martha Wayne. Because that's what cops do when they find a baby, bring it to a rich doctor and his wife to adopt. And I guess regular Bruce wasn't born in this reality, since they named Kal-El Bruce and he soon discovered his powers, still becoming Superman. Barbara Gordon, at a bookstore, reads a magazine about it.
Well, Superman is certainly getting a lot of play in the schlocky magazines.
Superman having an affair with Doomsday! Are kids on the way? Kal-El, I'm calling him that for simplicity's sake given the names, also works there and soon gets a secret phone call from Commissioner Gordon, hidden as a book request from an old lady that he needs to step out for. We've got trouble, Bruce. A terrorist group has planted a bomb aboard the charter flight carrying the Nobel Prize winners home from Europe. Unless we free 2 of their compatriots from prison within the hour, they'll blow up the planet over the mid-Atlantic. Need I say, this is a job for Superman? And what I mean to say is, did that bird-watching encyclopedia I ordered come in? Yeah, I guess in this reality, he must know that he's Superman. Anyway, he changes into his costume and flies to the plane. His parents are also aboard and know about him as Superman, though they don't let on. The plane captain shows Soups where the bomb is, which he quickly disarms. After making it look like the terrorists succeeded, he follows the transmitter signal for the bomb's detonation back to their base. These are those kinds of terrorists where everyone has matching uniforms, in this case bright green with a big green fist on it. Man, these guys need Cobra's marketing division. They just look like a bunch of guys upset they didn't get chosen as Green Lanterns. Soups makes short work of them and then returns to Barbara, who got a real call from the old lady who was used as the cover, and thus thinks that he's seeing someone else behind her back. However, he's just all, I don't know, maybe she's old and stuff. And that convinces her, so they make out. Coming soon, a night in the life of Bruce Superman Wayne, and all the filthy fanficky sex you can crave between Superman and Barbara Gordon. This comic kinda sucks. It's okay for the most part. I just feel like a major revelation, like the origin of life on Earth, should not just be some throwaway story Clark Kent tells to the Tandy Computer Whiz Kids. The artwork is fine, but the story itself feels a little contrived at points, like the telepathy and the machine that can analyze his thoughts and figure out what something he's thinking about is. However, it's not like offensively bad or anything. It is fun that our final look at the Tandy Computer Whiz Kids has them as basically the most human we've ever seen them. Sure, it's their early appearance and not one after they became servants to the Lords of Radio Shack, but it's nice that our final look at them has them with more freedom and personality than we've ever seen before. You know, if the Tandy Computer Whiz Kids really are canon to the DC universe, maybe that explains the constant returns from summer vacations. Each time that happens, we're actually seeing different reboots of them. Post-Crisis, post-New 52, post-Zero Hour, which we'll be talking about next week. Post-convergence, the two are robots. But yeah, even as more of a cameo, it feels like a nicer send-off to the two than being side characters in someone else's story about graffiti. As for the backup story, I admit I have not read the other bits in this, but it's pretty unimpressive. Functionally, this version is really no different than regular Superman, except his parents are rich and he's dating Barbara Gordon. Feels like a waste of the concept. If you want to see a proper exploration of the idea of baby Kal-El getting raised by the Waynes, hunt down the Elseworld story called Superman Speeding Bullets. Much better than this. And of course, next time, as I said, we're looking at 0 Hour Crisis in Time as we begin Event Comics Month 3, Crisis of the Secret House.
I'm sitting on my couch reviewing comics, the worst words that you will ever see. It's sad that comic books are for kids, but they're not. They're for everybody. Linkara. If you doubt that I am a man, I am a man.
Well, I knew that all along. I was just, testing Shanna to see if she had figured out the answer too. Not bad thinking. For a girl. That's it. I'm gonna frame you for telling someone on a hotline where they can buy drugs.
Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Last year, we said farewell to the Tandy Computer Whiz Kids.
Hello, my friends. Please be sure to like this video, subscribe, hit the bell, and share it with others. And if you get a chance, maybe check out my Patreon.